Welcome to my session on the CHS due rate dashboard. We'll do really quick intros. Mostly I'm presenting, so I'll just have my team stand up and say hi. We'll do a little bit about the dashboard, our users, provide context to the dashboard. We'll look at a simplified query, and then hopefully most of the time will be spent with looking at the dashboard itself. So first off, my name is David Sullivan. I'm the Assistant Director of Analytics at the College of Health Solutions. I'm joined by my team who built the dashboard. I'll let them stand for a second. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So first, what is a due rate? Because I think I didn't create a slide for that, and it's important to define. So a due rate is a metric used to measure the proportion of students who do not successfully complete a course. Specifically, it's accounting for students who receive grades of D or F or withdrawal. So D, E is fail, and W withdrawal. The intention behind the metric is to monitor academic performance and identify areas where students may need additional support. This dashboard offers a comprehensive overview of current due rates and grade distributions. It shows how students' due rates fluctuate over time, which is crucial to assessing the effectiveness of academic programs and interventions. We also benchmark our students against their peers, which provides valuable context for evaluating academic performance. The dashboard allows you to break down due rates by specific student attributes such as campus, minority status, and gender. For a more granular analysis, the dashboard offers the ability to drill down into lists of courses and their due rates. And we designed the dashboard with flexibility in mind to meet the diverse needs of our users. So our primary users of this dashboard are as follows: dean and senior administrators who can leverage the dashboard to gain strategic insights into due grades across the college. Program directors and faculty can monitor due grades in their own courses. And student and academic success staff can utilize the dashboard to identify potential issues through due grade trends and develop targeted support and intervention strategies. And I think one of the cool things is the way making this data available allows all of those people to kind of communicate on the same thing. So this is not the first due rate report we've created. It replaces a really old, rigid report builder implementation that, but other than that report, our involvement in due rates prior to this dashboard was through the fulfillment of one-off analytics requests. So with the development of this dashboard, we set out to both improve significantly on the old dashboard, as well as satisfy many of the ad hoc requests we were receiving. So with that, I can go to the demo. Oh, actually, we have one more slide. Sorry. Two more slides. So the basic process we went through was just looking at what we had been doing, and I kind of like went through that just now. Identify all the data we needed, come up with the query, and then design the dashboard. So really basic. So this is a simplified query diagram because the real thing is long and organized into CTEs, and it's really hard to look at. But generally, what you want to look at is the far right, because this is the process that query goes through. First couple items is actually 3 items. Where we're just collecting data. So we're getting our relevant terms that we're interested in. We have some logic built into the dashboard to select those terms dynamically. We're going to get our plan information, both for our students and for other students, other degrees at the university. We're going to look at what are the critically tracked courses for our college. Then we're going to retrieve the grades for all the CHS students in those terms. Then we're going to find all CHS courses, because this is the logic behind the dashboard, is we're going to select all CHS courses and any non-CHS course with at least 10 CHS students in it. So that's really just intended to reduce the amount of data we're pulling into the dashboard for the purposes of benchmarking. Yeah, so I'm just going to really quickly run through these because I don't think we have a ton of time. But basically, 1, 2, and 3 are just, we're getting our term information, we're getting the plan information, and we're getting the major map requirements, critically tracked courses. Then 4 and 5, we're looking at the PS student enroll has our course enrollment and grade information. The SPRF table has our term enrollment information for each student. And over here, we have an extended class information in case you're interested in making your own queries about this. Okay, now we're at the demo. All right, so unless otherwise indicated, everything on this dashboard is as of the semester shown at the top. Oh, look, that worked. Good. In this case, fall 23, but the dashboard will automatically update to fall 24 when that data becomes available at the end of the semester. Later, you'll see how we can actually change the semester shown through the dynamic filters that are available. A key feature of this dashboard, like I mentioned before, is how we benchmarked our students against other students in the same classes. So whenever you see non-CHS due rate, it refers to non-CHS majors in the same classes and their performance. And that definition remains consistent across all the visualizations, though it may appear a little differently. Another standout feature of the dashboard is the documentation overlay, and I want to show that before I forget because I think it's really cool. And it provides information at your fingertips while minimizing space used. White arrows describe interactivity and yellow boxes explain the visualization. And we also included the key here on that particular situation. At top left, over here, we have so I want to walk through each section and describe what you're seeing and highlight its significance. So at top left, the visualization shows proportions of CHS grades in each category. It indicates, for example, that our students are receiving a greater proportion of A grades and a small proportion of W, E, and C grades compared to non-CHS majors. At top right, this section displays similar information, but spreads the grades along the horizontal axis, and the two groups, that's the CHS students and non-CHS students, are stacked. So that's what I'm talking about here. The bars are actually showing us the number of students. So you can see how many, even with just that 10 student limiter, we're bringing in a lot more of not our students than we are our students. But you can see how the proportion is different between the two populations. So, for example, orange is our students, and you can see that 58.1% receive a grade of A, whereas the non-CHS students receive 49.9%. One of the cool things about this is, depending on how you prefer to look at it, you can choose to simplify it so that you just see one or the other. But the bar always means number of students, and the area chart's always the proportion. All right, so the middle chart is showing the due rates over time among our students. The rates have slightly declined, which you may be able to see. It's kind of small. Or remained roughly flat over the past several years, hovering around 8 to 10%. And the chart is filtered to display CHS majors only. The interactivity here is the ability to add or remove semesters. So example, I removed spring and added summer. The bottom right, you can switch between campus, minority, and gender and see the drop-down from the drop-down menu. So that's right here. The notable feature of the feature is the non-CHS major overlay. So what I'm talking about is this translucent bar over the other bar. And so the main bar underneath is our students. And then the bar above is that benchmark number I've been telling you about, the non-CHS students. So you can see at the same time what our students are doing, how are they doing, and how other students are doing without moving or changing a filter. The bottom left plot, this was a cool opportunity to use a scatter plot. Usually we're just using categorical data. The due grades, the y-axis, the total number of grades, and the x-axis is each course's, x-axis is the number of due grades, y is the total number of grades. So really what you're seeing is the due rate plotted. And we added a linear fit to kind of show a visual demarcation of what might be a high or low due grade, which I think is pretty cool. Right now, you're just looking at the scatter only for CHS students, as you can see here. But you can hover over and see which courses make up these high due courses. So here we have Bio 181, Bio 201, HSC 210, that's one of our courses, English 101, Math 117, and et cetera. So it's pretty interesting. And because we have the total enrollment here, we can also prioritize, if you're interested in like prioritizing interventions, you can see which ones have the biggest impact. So those larger enrolled programs. One of the other really, really cool things is the way you can drill down into this data. So you can do that either by clicking on one of these or by clicking this little button here. And clicking the course will pre-filter this list to just the subject you clicked on. So you can see, like if you clicked on bio, you would only see bio courses here. In the case that clicking on the button, we're seeing every single course in the data set. And so this allows us to really quickly filter through the list and maybe find courses we're interested in. So for example, I'll look at all courses with at least 200 students in them. And a due rate of, let's say, 13%. So now we have our short list of courses meeting that criteria. So whether you know what your course you're looking for or you're using this to identify courses for interventions, it's a really useful view. Let's see. Yeah, and you can optionally break these down even further, which I think is really cool. So we can show the academic plan of each student in each of these courses, and then look at that due rate by the individual majors of each student. So I think that's really interesting as well. So you can see if there's any information there that's useful. Oh, and this is one thing. You can also filter this list with campus or look at for non-CHS students instead of ours. All right, so up until now, we've been using the dashboard in its default state. However, we provided several optional filters for deeper analysis. You can select a different term, filter by a specific subject or course, choose a different student campus, or select only one student campus, filter by course level, that's lower division, upper division, or graduate. And we, as I mentioned before, added a quick filter on critically tracked courses. So you can quickly focus on those that are considered essential to the success of our college's programs. Let's see. All right. All right, challenges. First challenge is trying to meet all those needs with one dashboard, and I'm sure we didn't do it. But I think we did enough to enable communication between our different users, and they can always email me for more data. So I think we were successful there, but that was a challenge. We could have just built a dashboard that showed due rates without any benchmarking. And I think that would have been interesting as well. But I feel like the additional context really adds a lot to your analysis. And I think one of the bigger issues we ran into, and we always do this when we start a new project, and that's like researching what's already out there. And when we did that, we didn't find any other due rate dashboards. So this kind of required a novel approach, and we kind of tried different things out, and this was the result. Some limitations to the dashboard. First thing I mentioned is that 10 student rule. So we're grabbing all of our classes, but only those classes that aren't ours, as long as they have at least 10 of our students. So that did reduce the number of classes by millions. Number of grades, rather. The other thing is this is aggregate only, so you're not going to be able to like pick out an instructor. Um, but like I said, they can always email us for more information and we can give them the appropriate data. And finally, I think the interpretation for what a due rate means and what to do about it can be up to interpretation in the same way that what is a high due rate is up to interpretation. So I think that's another limitation. Yeah. But that's the end of the presentation. I'm right on time for questions. Let me know if you have any.
Actions taken by the user of this dashboard, what might they do?
So I think that's going to depend on who they are. I've seen, like I said, some interesting organic conversations come up around it. Like you have like an assistant dean poking around, or they already have an idea of courses they think might be difficult or a kind of a block for our students. And so they go in there and they look, and then they can look at that with the program directors and talk about curriculum, and have a larger conversation around it. So I think that's the way I've seen it come up.
Who does like tutoring and stuff. Is one of the units that I support. I think to your question, Mike, but they would be interested in knowing this, because those courses that have a relatively high DW rate with the scatter plot, like would be courses that they would primarily target for their tutoring or something. So I'd be interested to talk to you about like they could do like now. So I think for them, it would definitely be part of it.
All right, thank you.
And I think another idea of, is there just like bio or any one of the courses that are, you could look at a program and see like, is that a gateway course that blocks other courses? And if so, that is even more of a priority because it stops the program degree, whereas if it supports what we take directly. Still not great that it might be under the rate of the West.
Right, thank you very much.
You break this down, so I thought breaking it down to later. For instance, where I work, all business students have to take peak on 211 and 212, but only a small number are actually majoring. So it'd be helpful to know, is there a difference between how the econ students do and the other students, the other majors? Has there been any difference in terms of get down to that level?
Yeah, so when you looked at the course list, that one had the ability to look at the individual degrees of the students in those courses and see the due rate at that level. That's aggregated. Yeah, so I think the initial requests I would get from due rates would include the major of the student as kind of like a key factor in their interest in due rates, whether or not a student particular major, for example, might be, impacted particularly by a specific course that they're required to take.